As I mentioned earlier this week, former Massachusetts Republican Senator Scott Brown is now running for senator in New Hampshire. Oftentimes, his state switching, or some would call it flip-flopping, comes up, but usually it's Democrats who bring it up, not Republicans. This is one of the most cringe-worthy political rally clips that we've maybe ever played on the show. Chris Sununu is a member of the New Hampshire Executive Council, and he's the son of former Governor John Sununu, also a Republican. And he mentioned Scott Brown's state switching, and he did it in the way that just makes no sense. Scott Brown, watch him if you're watching the video of this, doesn't even flinch when he's called a phony by the person who's introducing him at a political rally. Scott Brown doesn't flinch. I had the goosebumps, Lewis, from watching this. It is so awkward. Let's take a look.
Someone came up and said, hey, I'd love to meet Scott. I kind of always thought, and this is what he says, I always thought Scott was kind of a phony from Massachusetts. Yes. And I said, you got to sit down. You got to sit down with him, because he sat down. They had their little conversation. He walked away. You know what he said? He goes, that guy he's a phony from New Hampshire that just happened to live in Massachusetts for a little while. He's more New Hampshire than most people we have in New Hampshire.
It would be tough to receive a more bizarre introduction when you're about to give a speech in front of your supporters. And I have to say, Chris Sununu does not seem particularly bright to me. I'm not in the business of advising Republican candidates, but if I were Scott Brown, I would distance myself from this guy. I can't imagine a worse introduction.
It was terrible, absolutely terrible. But luckily, like you said, he was in front of supporters. So presumably these people supported him before that terrible introduction.
That introduction, though, was actually the model of clarity compared to Scott's Brown position on the Affordable Care Act. He wants to get rid of it, but he wants to get rid of it and somehow keep all of its provisions, but in a way that doesn't restrict freedom and liberty and also doesn't cost anything. But Obamacare is bad. I actually was much more easily able to understand that introduction than Scott's Brown position on Obamacare.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his ideas were pretty complicated and not practical at all. But good luck to him in New Hampshire. I hope he loses.